Right, shall we move on from qualifying?
Go on, entertain us.
Yeah, there's obviously some dramatic stuff. I think let's keep going with let's keep the heart rate low for now. We'll contain the froth for a little bit longer. Let's talk about Kimi Raikkonen, who for the last time, the Iceman. He's finally actually going this time. Not like last time where he went off to do some rallying and came back again. He's actually going to leave this time, and it is quite sad. He is a legend. He is the legend in many ways because he is F1's most experienced driver ever. 349 races after he burst onto the scene at Sauber in 2001. I remember he was an absolute beast at McLaren, even if the car itself kept failing to deliver on its promises. Kimi himself didn't. And I remember there was a lot of speculation that he was too young, he was too inexperienced, and then he came in and was incredible. So it was they backed the right man. I think he personally had what it took to win the championship in 2003 and 2005, but ended up losing out to various reliability issues. But also in more recent times, a lot of the attention on Raikkonen has been on his anti-PR attitude and his non-conformity for which a long time was pretty funny and endearing when he backed it up with strong results. But I must admit, I found it a bit less amusing when he was left wanting for performances. Like when he went back to Ferrari after Lotus, he just never really, he was so thoroughly beaten by Sebastian Vettel and just seemed like less than even a wingman. He really was left wanting for performances a lot of the time. But I can appreciate his earnestness and not wanting to toe the usual line of F1 drivers amongst the press, and there's something to be said for that, I think. Now, just as a little sort of memorandum of the man as he leaves, I always remember his skill at McLaren. He was just as regarded as Schumacher at the time for his skill, and with good reason. I think his best victory is probably Japan 2005, where he won from 17th on the grid. He overtook Fisichella on the penultimate lap, I believe. It's a pretty iconic moment. Just one of those things that's burned into your memory. You can remember all of the commentary and the image of Ron Dennis celebrating, which you didn't see very often. You didn't see Ron Dennis emote very often, but he was actually like, yeah! And even, that alone makes it pretty memorable. I always think of his overtake on Schumacher Eau Rouge in Belgium in 2012 as well. That was when he was with Lotus. Just because it's an overtake at Eau Rouge on Michael Schumacher. So it's just pretty incredible. Apparently he made a deal as well. Funny story. He made a deal when he was at Lotus that he'd get paid for every point he scored. And the team, not being particularly moneyed at the time, couldn't afford to pay him because he was scoring so many points. Nice. Shane, what are your favourite memories of the Iceman?
It's a hard one for me, actually, because I'm quite recent to the sport. Well, you've been watching the sport a lot longer than I have. I've been watching it probably since on and off since 2008. The first year I watched was when Lewis won the championship, and on that penultimate corner, and then we moved forward, and I probably didn't get back into it until 2012 or 13. I think there was some issues with it being in the UK, or whether I just lost interest or moved out of my family home, so I didn't watch it with my dad. And then all of a sudden I got back into it. So that golden era for Kimi was way before I started watching Formula One, and when he was still entertaining and doing quite well between 2008 and 2012, 13, I was on and off with Formula One. But I just love the guy's. He's clearly passionate about the sport. He loves driving fast cars, but he hates everything else to do with Formula One. He hates the PR. He hates the management. He hates social media. He just doesn't want to talk to anyone. And actually, like you said, I think there's something to be said about someone who just wants to turn up and race cars and get on with his life. And I think I've grown to like him. Kimi's always been there in the sport. He's always been there since I've been watching Formula One, whether he's been with Ferrari or now Alfa Romeo. But the last couple of days where I've been seeing numerous interviews on Sky Sports with him, and how he talks about him leaving the sport, not because he's falling out of love with it, but because he wants to spend more time with his family. He wants to do the things he loves, and how difficult it's been on his wife and children, that he's a 23 race calendar. That's so long. And you think these drivers have had to deal with quarantine issues and COVID, so they've barely seen their families this year. And actually, I thought, you know what? This guy's a legend in his own right. He deserves to take the time. He deserves now to leave Formula One. He hasn't left on a high like some drivers do. He's left because it's his time, and actually he wants to spend time with his family. And it was quite nice to see that slightly emotional, loving side of Kimi Raikkonen just before he bowed out of the sport. And so I'm glad we got that glimpse of it, because it'll be, yeah, Kimi left, but he's having fun now. He's doing whatever he wants because he's not worried about racing the next week or flying to a different country. He's just going to be chilling with his wife and kids.
Yeah, and good luck to the man and to his family. And yeah, he's had an indelible impact on the sport. And like I say, he is the most experienced driver in its history.
It's crazy.
I don't know if anyone will ever outdo that. I'm sure some people might be getting close in time, but yeah, just wanted to give a little farewell to Kimi Raikkonen.